Hey there, and welcome. Today, we're talking about making your money work for you through investing. Now, I get it. That word, investing, can sound pretty intimidating, right? Maybe a little complicated. But here's the thing, it's a skill you can absolutely learn. We're going to break it all down step by step. So let's just dive right in. So let's get real for a second. Does this look familiar? You know that feeling. You're lying in bed, trying to sleep, but your mind just starts racing about money. What are the big worries keeping you up at night? Maybe it's that weird noise your car just started making, or, oh man, school fees are due tomorrow. Or maybe it's the really big stuff, like how am I ever going to retire? Or prepping for a hurricane, or a sudden trip to the emergency room. Look, these are totally real worries that pretty much everyone has. But the goal today is to start turning that worry into an actual plan. And this is a game changer. I want you to really let this sink in. The thing is, you're already an investor. You do it every single day. Think about it. When you take the time to read a book, you're investing in your knowledge, right? So this whole idea of putting in effort now for a payoff later, it's not new to you at all. We're just going to take that exact same logic and apply it to your money. Okay, so here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to prepare for success. Then we'll dive in and understand the game. After that, we'll check out your options. And finally, we'll talk about finding a guide. Simple as that. Let's jump in. All right, first up, step 1, preparing for success. This is the groundwork, It's all about setting clear goals and getting your budget in order. So this is the million-dollar question, right? Where on earth do you even begin? Well, it's simpler than you think. You start by deciding what you actually want your money to do for you. Are we talking about a new car, a down payment on a house, or are you looking way down the road at a really comfortable retirement? Getting clear on your goals is your first move. Okay, so once you know your why, you need the how. And that tool is a budget. Now, don't tune me out. A budget isn't about telling you no. It's about putting you in the driver's seat. It's about control. It shows you exactly where every dollar is going. And that, right there, is the secret to figuring out how much you can actually start putting to work. Okay, so these 7 tips here, they create this really powerful cycle. It all kicks off with those goals we just talked about. From there, it gets easier to separate your needs from your wants and really track where your money is going. Yeah, even that daily coffee. But if there's one thing on this list to jump on right now, it's paying off that high-interest credit card debt. Seriously, getting rid of that is like giving yourself an instant guaranteed return on your money. And the real magic here, making it all a routine, a habit. That's what puts you and keeps you in control. All right, on to step 2. Now that we've got a plan taking shape, it's time to understand the rules of the game. We're talking about risk, reward, and this sneaky thing called inflation that can quietly eat away at your savings. You've heard it a million times, right? Your parents or grandparents talking about how a soda used to cost a nickel? Well, that's inflation. It just means that the money you have today, well, it won't stretch as far tomorrow. The purchasing power goes down. And here's the kicker. If your cash is just sitting in a savings account, barely earning any interest, inflation is probably beating it. That means your money is actually losing value over time. And this slide just lays it out so clearly, the big difference between saving and investing. Saving, absolutely essential. You need that emergency fund. It's safe, it's low risk, but the trade-off is you get really low rewards. Investing, on the other hand, means you're taking on more risk. But with that risk comes the potential for much, much higher rewards. We're talking about the kind of growth that can actually beat inflation and really build your wealth for the long haul. So the big question is, how much risk is right for you? A lot of that comes down to what's called your risk tolerance. And honestly, your age is a huge factor. I mean, look at this chart. If you're younger, you have decades to ride out the market's ups and downs. So you can generally afford to take on more risk for higher growth, maybe with things like stocks. But as you get closer to retirement, the game changes. The focus shifts to protecting what you've already built. So you might move towards safer stuff, like bonds. But listen, no matter how old you are, the #1 strategy for managing risk is diversification. It's that old saying your grandma probably told you, don't put all your eggs in one basket. It's simple, really. If you spread your money around and one of your investments takes a hit, the others are there to help balance things out. It's your safety net. Okay, let's get into the good stuff. Step 3, knowing your options. We've covered the big ideas, so now let's talk about the actual things you can invest your money in. Don't worry, we're going to cut through all the jargon. So the 2 main players you'll always hear about are stocks and bonds. Here's the easiest way to think about it. Buying a stock means you own a tiny piece of the company.
You're an owner. You have equity. Buying a bond, on the other hand, is like you're the bank. You're lending money to a company or even the government. They owe you a debt. So as an owner with stock, you might get a share of the profits, called dividends, and you get to vote on things. As the lender with a bond, you get paid back with regular interest payments. Simple as that.
Okay, so if the thought of researching and picking individual stocks and bonds sounds totally overwhelming, I get it. And there's a fantastic solution for that. They're called investment funds, or, as you'll often hear, mutual funds. Basically, they take a little bit of money from a lot of people and pool it all together to buy a huge, diverse mix of investments. It's like diversification on easy mode. Plus, you have a professional manager who's making all the day-to-day decisions for you. And that actually brings us perfectly to our final step, step 4, find your guide. Because here's the best news of all, you absolutely do not have to do this alone. In fact, getting professional advice might be the single most important investment you ever make. But, of course, before you hand your hard-earned money over to anyone, you've got to do your homework. That means asking some tough questions. And don't be shy about it. Ask them about their background, their experience. Ask them flat out, how do you get paid? Ask them about their whole approach to investing. Remember, this is your future we're talking about. You need to feel 100% confident that you're working with someone who's qualified and licensed. And speaking of being protected, remember, there are official groups out there whose whole job is to look out for you, the investor. Here in the Bahamas, for example, you have the Securities Commission. They're the watchdog, making sure the markets are fair and the pros are playing by the rules. They're a great resource to have on your side. So please, please be careful out there. If you hear promises of quick profits or guaranteed returns, if anything sounds just a little too good to be true, run. Those are giant, flashing red flags for fraud. Trust your gut. If it feels shady, it probably is. So let's wrap this up. At the end of the day, investing isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. It's a journey. It takes a plan, it takes patience, and it really takes thinking about the long term. It's not about winning the lottery tomorrow. It's about methodically building a foundation for a more secure, more comfortable future. So I want to leave you with this final thought. Your money is sitting there. It has the potential to be working for you around the clock. Just by sticking with me through this, you've already taken a huge first step. So now, go back to those dreams we talked about at the very beginning. Your money could be working. What are you going to ask it to do?